Now, leaders of the world's most powerful economies have begun the G20 Summit in the Japanese city of Osaka. Climate change and WTO reforms are on the agenda, but the meeting is likely to be dominated by differences between the United States and China over trade. President Trump is due to meet the Chinese President Xi Jinping on Saturday, their first meeting since the collapse of the trade talks between the US and China last month. Here's Rupert Wingfield-Hayes, who's been at the summit for us.
So the G20 Summit here in Osaka has now formally opened with that traditional family photograph, as it's called, of all the world leaders gathered in front of their flags. But even before it began, there have already been some meetings, in particular a meeting between President Trump and the host, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe of Japan. It's been interesting, given all the threats that President Trump has been making over trade to China, to Japan, and to countries like India. In that meeting, Prime Minister Abe produced a map of the United States with, on it, 5 sites where Japanese companies have made major new investments in the last month or so, totaling $145 million US, according to the Japanese Prime Minister, and creating 5,000 new jobs. So you can see that's the sort of way that leaders like the Japanese Prime Minister are now showing President Trump how much new investment is going into the United States to try and fend off any fresh tariffs. Now, of course, hanging over this whole summit is the trade war between China and the United States. And there is concern, I think, from all the leaders here that that trade war might get worse. President Trump, ahead of this summit, has threatened to impose fresh tariffs of 25% on over $300 billion worth of Chinese goods exported to the United States. Now, there is, we think, going to be a meeting between President Trump and President Xi Jinping here tomorrow, and everybody is really looking to that meeting to see whether they are able to create some sort of breakthrough, or at least call off the trade war, or call some sort of truce, so that they can get back to the negotiating table and try and work out their differences.
Well, Cornelia Meyer is the CEO of MRL Corporation, a business consultancy, and joins me now. Thanks very much for coming in, Cornelia.
Well, thank you for having me.
Let's talk about where we are with this potential trade deal, if we get there. I mean, we've had Steve Mnuchin saying that we're 90% of the way there, but it's not over till the fat lady sings. And in this case, it's probably not very flattering portrayal of Donald Trump, is it?
of the two leaders. No, and you saw Mnuchin said that on Wednesday, and yesterday Larry Kudlow came up managing expectations downward. But that's a very Trump thing, you know, so it's managed or unmanaged chaos. But I think markets are really watching this because we need some sort of resolution. If you look at it, even for US business, it's getting bad. Trump says it's not bad for US business. But if you're, let's say, Intel, 10% of your chips offtake is Huawei. 50% of your chips go to China. So it actually also affects US business. And you know, the World Bank has downgraded global economic growth to 2.6% out of fear of these trade wars. So yes, it is affecting the economy. And we may head towards a mild recession if, you know, we can't clear it. Because it's not just China and the US, it's India as well, as you've seen. It may be Europe once we have a new leadership in the EU.
Well, this is it. I mean, these are the fears, aren't they, that we're heading towards a global recession. I mean, I wonder whether you subscribe to the view that the Trump administration is downplaying a lot of this and, in fact, ratcheting up tensions where perhaps tensions don't necessarily exist because they want the central bank, the Federal Reserve, to cut rates and therefore boost the US economy and then the rest of the world with it. Would you subscribe to that, or
no,
conspiracy theory?
I wouldn't subscribe to that, but he's just, you know, he does have it in for the Fed Governor Jerome Powell, because he says, well, you know, cut your rates, and Powell said yes, he may cut rates. So yes, there is that element, but it's really Trump. When you talk to people who've worked with Trump, said he used to do what he does here in his board meetings. He would create chaos, go away, and then see what the fallout is. Only this is not, you know, this is not a real estate company. This is the global economy. So we really need to be careful. And the interesting thing also is that Xi Jinping has now done his spiel with the BRICS as well. He's meeting on the sidelines, the BRICS.
The BRICS.
That is China, Russia, Brazil, India, India, South Africa, and they have the club of the BRICS, because there was Goldman Sachs at some stage said, they have lots of people and they're growing fast, and so they may turn them into a bloc. And he said, look, our future lies on access to world markets and free trade. So he's caroling his own people.
Okay, Cornelia, we're going to have to leave it there. We have some fantastic papers to go through towards the end of the hour, so we'll see you then. Thanks very much, Cornelia.